Hi everyone, this is Rahul. I hope you guys are able to hear me and able to see my screen. All right, thanks for confirming. Give me a moment. So there are some people still joining in. We're gonna get started in another 2 minutes. So before that, if you guys have any questions, any queries, then you can post it in a chat box over here. Do you see a question and answer column, a chat column with your GoToWebinar? So if you have any questions, any queries, you can post it over here. And what I'll do, I'll unmute you all as well so that you will be self-muted. In case you have any questions, any queries, you can unmute yourself as well. So I'm going to unmute you all. Okay, so you all are self-muted now.
Hey, Rahul.
Hi. Hi,
Yeah,
Manu.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, hi, man. I just wanted to check whether I'm able to hear your voice or not.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank
So
you.
we're gonna get started in another 2 minutes. People are
Yeah, yeah,
still
that's
joining in.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
All right. So guys, whenever you are connecting in, just please make sure that audio option is selected as computer audio instead of phone call or no audio. So otherwise you won't be able to hear me. Okay. Okay, so I got a couple of questions. I'll be answering them soon. So let us get started with our session. So let me introduce myself first. I hope most of you already familiar with my name and like I'm going to be your Selenium instructor. So I am having over 14 years of experience in software testing domain itself. I used to work as a test manager with one of the company in Gurgaon in India itself. So I am into automation from over 10 years now, where I've worked on various automation tools like QTP, UFT, Selenium, APM mobile automation. Then I've worked with Rest Assured. I've worked with mobile automation using APM and a number of other automation tools as well. And my major experience is around Selenium, working with automation teams on with the working on different frameworks like keyword driven, data driven, hybrid, page object, page factories, Cucumber BDD. So a lot of frameworks I've worked and I've implemented in my organization as well. So Then I have also conducted a lot of corporate trainings, like a face-to-face training I've given. I've delivered many trainings in NCR, in Delhi NCR, in Gurgaon, in Bangalore, even in New York, to a company named Shutterstock in Seattle to spoken communication. So like I am the one who owns this way to automation, where we are conducting a lot of automation courses related to UI automation, API automation, mobile automation, performance testing. A lot of other courses are there. So I am the one who will be taking care of your Selenium training. So the complete Selenium training will be taken by me only. So that is pretty much about my background, and I hope most of the audience who have joined today, there are many students who have already enrolled in the course, and there are some of you who are joining today as a very first session. Some are taking it as a demo session as well. So we'll be conducting the first two sessions will be the introductory session. There are some people who have already completed the basic Java training, and now they'll be moved to the Selenium part. So after these two sessions, we'll be dividing this like group into two batches. One who have already completed Java will be continuing with the Selenium classes, and people who are joining new for the very first time, like I can see in the question and answer section that Senthil just mentioned that he's working as a manual tester, but not having any development background. See, this course is specifically related to automation. There is no development experience required for it. In case you are coming from development and learning automation, then it will be an added advantage for you because you are already good in programming. But majorly, I've seen 90% of the time manual testers are the one who move into automation using Selenium. And if you don't have any prior knowledge on the programming part, you need not to worry about it, because we'll be covering everything from scratch. So first you will be trained on the complete core Java part, and then we'll be moving on to the automation Selenium. And in order to work on automation, it's not like you need to know very high level programming. You're not going to develop anything. It's a library which is already developed. You need to use that library, and in order to use that, you just need to be good in basic programming concepts. So if I talk about Java, you need not to learn advanced Java. You only need to learn the basic part of Java, that is core Java. So these basics are something like you must have studied in your graduation time as well. If you have ever worked on like C++, if you ever studied C++ during your graduation, you must have studied about basic if, else, loops, basic oops concepts. So those are the same stuff that you need in Selenium as well. So rest assured about the programming part. We'll be covering whatever that is required for automation. We'll be covering everything from scratch. So first you will be taught completely, you'll be trained completely on the core Java part, and then you'll be moving on to Selenium. Right. So in these two sessions, we'll be understanding what level of Java that is required, what exactly Selenium is, what all components that we will be integrating with Selenium, and why we are starting directly from Selenium, why not any other automation tool? Because Selenium is considered to be a base of your automation testing. If you talk about any openings these days, even if you search for a opening for a manual testing, or if you're looking to switch your current job as well, then you may gonna see that whenever you're searching for the opening, Selenium is like a prerequisite. Even if it is a manual testing opening, Selenium is like a prerequisite, right? So this thing you may have noticed. So why Selenium is very much in demand? Why not other automation tool? There are hundreds of automation tools in the industry these days, but Selenium is something like a demand of every software testing opening, a manual testing opening, or automation testing opening. Selenium is like a prerequisite these days. So we'll be discussing about all these things, right? And this is going to be a weekend batch itself. The timings for this batch is gonna be the same. That is, we're gonna start sharp at 8 p.m. India time, and then this will go up till 10 p.m. India time. So every Saturday and Sunday. And total duration for this course is somewhere around 3 months. It is going to take at least 3 months to cover all the topics. Right. So what all topics we'll be covering? I'll be discussing the syllabus as well as soon as we proceed with our today's session. But before we get started with that, if you guys have any questions, any queries to discuss, then you can ask it right now. So I've unmuted you as well. In case you want to directly talk, then you can unmute yourself from your end, and then you can directly talk to me. Otherwise, there's a chat box available. You can just type in your question, and then I'll revert you back accordingly. Right. So I really want to make this session an interactive session so that you'll not gonna feel like that you're attending any online training and just watching the lecture for, let's say, 2 hours. So just I want to make it more interactive so that you should feel like that you're sitting in a classroom and you're taking a face-to-face training, right? So you can ask n number of questions, queries, doubts you have. Okay, so one of the question asked by Rajni is, are we going to cover mobile testing APM as well in this course? See, I'll be covering the major configuration of APM, and I'm going to show you how to execute your test on a real device. So that is the part we'll be covering in this Selenium session as well. Rest, there's a whole big course on APM as well. And right now as well, we are running one course on APM, but that is through Python. So those are the topics like which is already there in the live sessions.
Hi,
Okay,
Vasu.
so Shrikant is asking, is this session for Selenium only after Java batches or completely new batch? See, this is going to be a complete new batch, Shrikant. After the 2 sessions, people who are joining as a new will gonna start with the Java training from next weekend, and people who have already completed the Java part is going to continue with the WebDriver sessions. So you can consider this as a fresh batch, a new batch.
Hi, Vasu. I have a question. Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, Prasad.
So, just like to understand, like I know that like you are coming from the scratch, from the basic, from the core Java to the advanced level. Here I have to know just the two things. So, if you go to the advanced level, you will be covering any specific framework in that deep level. So, like I have some basic knowledge on the automation. Like I like to understand like whether you are going to cover like how the utilities are, pack of utilities which we can design helps in the automation framework. In that level are you going to cover once you're done with Java? Because I like to follow this 3 months course. I have some basic knowledge, so
Mhm.
you get the question, right?
Absolutely. I got your question. Yes, in fact, we are going to cover 2 live projects in the Selenium session. Once your Java part is done, we'll be starting from Selenium, the ABC of Selenium, all the configuration part. We'll be integrating a lot of utilities. You may have heard about like Log4j, properties, JDBC. We'll be learning the in-depth of TestNG framework, and then we'll be building up 2 major projects from scratch. One is using the data driven and the keyword driven part, which is going to be one of the hybrid framework, and the second framework we are going to cover is page object model, and then we'll be adding page factories to it as well. So these are the 2 live projects that we will be building up from scratch. It's not like that I'll be picking up some project and a framework code and then I'll be explaining it to you. I'll be designing each and every piece of code in front of you by adding all the utilities so that like you can implement the same thing in your organization as well. And not only this, once you are done with this Selenium course after 3 months, there is a next level of this course as well, but that is more like of a video library. If you have gone through this particular link, let me show it to you. So this is another unique course. After doing the 2 live projects, you need to follow the course. This is something called as Automation Architect 7 live projects. So these are 7 different frameworks. If you see over here, the prerequisite for this course is that you need to be good in the frameworks, the initial 2 frameworks that we are going to study in this course, and then you need to be good in the Selenium automation part as well. After that, you should be able to follow these 7 live projects. So this extends your data driven, the extended version of data driven with grid and dockers, and then page object model, the next level of page factories, then Cucumber with page object, page factories. Then there is another extended level of page object model using some advanced concepts like Java generics, multi-threading, right? So these are the concepts. So if you thoroughly go through these 7 live projects, then there is nothing in interviews that you won't be able to answer, right? So this is like whole in depth of the framework designing part on 7 live projects.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you. So why I asked
Right?
this question is like in the utilities level nowadays we are facing the issues like we need to click the calendars buttons or some kinds of drop down list. We
Yeah,
have to.
most of these things you'll always, I mean, already gonna find it in the course. So
Sure,
don't worry about it,
no problem. Thank you.
right? So I hope, Saurabh, your question is also answered. The Docker part, Docker integration is already there in the next level, that is the automation architect. Because see, there are endless topics in Selenium. If I start covering all the topics, it may gonna take like 5 to 6 months to cover each and everything, right? So in 3 months, I'll be building up your base for automation, your base for the framework level, right? And once your base is built up, then you can follow the next level of this course as well, right? So anything that you need integration with Selenium, you'll find most of the topics are already there over here.
So Rahul, one question. So these this automation architect course, this course, is this being updated, or these are like the with the old version of Selenium? Are
Okay.
these being constantly updated?
See, the framework part, the coding part, I have added the latest code over here. But if you talk about the videos now in Selenium, what happens? Not only in Selenium, there are many other utilities that are integrated with Selenium. All these are built up on open source projects, right? And in today's industry, every now and then you're gonna see a new version of it coming very frequently, right? So it may happen that if I'm using a Selenium version, let's say 3.1, you may gonna see that after a few days there's a new version that is 3.2, and then after few days you'll see 3.3. So every time when a new version is updated, it is very difficult to re-record that session, right? So what I try to do is I try to update the code to the latest dependencies. Now, if we talk about the framework designing is completely dependent on the core Java concepts. And core Java concepts are evergreen. They are not old or they are not new, right? So the framework designing concepts that are covered are still going to work in your latest projects as well. The only thing that you need to do is you need to update your dependencies to the latest version of Selenium and the latest version of other utilities that you integrate. It may happen that during updation you may gonna face some issues, some exceptions. Then I'm there to help you in that.
Thank you.
Okay, so which there's another question: which language is more in demand, Java or Python? See, 70% of the market is still in Selenium with Java, but we are conducting a live batch for Python as well. I would recommend, if you're starting in automation, go with Java first. Because if you're comfortable in Java, if you have worked on Selenium with Java, then migrating to Python is just 15 days task. Because Python is very easy to learn, very easy to understand. If your base is already built up in one programming language, you should be able to migrate it to another programming language within 15 days, right? So we are also conducting a live training on Selenium Python as well. And the best thing, like most of you already know, that if you are joining for this Selenium Java course, you will be eligible to attend other live trainings as well, right? So this is very unique concept that We have recently introduced something called the lifetime membership program. So all the courses that you see on this platform, all these courses, there are 20 plus courses where you're going to find the video library, the detailed video library available. You're going to get lifetime access on all these live courses, all these video library. And plus, there are many live trainings that we are conducting, not just for Selenium Java, for Selenium Python, for APM mobile automation, for JMeter performance testing, for Spring Boot, for manual testing, ISTQB database testing part. All these live sessions will be free for you for lifetime. For lifetime means that even after 1 year you come and you want to join any training program, you need not to enroll yourself again. So you are going to become a lifetime member. You can attend all our ongoing and future batches for free. So that is one of the unique concept. There are 7 to 8 instructors who are associated with Way2 Automation, who are taking different batches. You can join all those batches for free. So whenever there is a new batch formed, we will be paying to the instructor, but you need not to pay anything. So it's just a one-time enrollment, and all these video library and all live trainings will be free for you. So this is something like a unique concept that we have introduced, and many students from across globe have already enrolled for it. Right? Okay. Yeah, we are recording all the live training, so don't worry about it. In case you miss to attend any particular session, then you can go through the recording for that particular day as well.
Rahul, sorry, Satish here. So this Selenium, specific to Selenium training, right? This is for 3 months, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, so Sudhir is saying that after the course is complete, how much days we can access your lectures? See, as I said, it's a lifetime access. So you'll be in a lifetime contract. So don't worry about it. You can access these lectures any point of time you want.
Rahul, sorry to interrupt. These current sessions will be uploaded in the same location, or where exactly we can find it? Because
Okay, for the Selenium batch, these are the Selenium online training live recordings. So you're gonna find it over here. Let me show it to you. For, let's say, the ongoing batch is, you're gonna find it over here. So there's just give me a moment. You're gonna find this is the batch which is done with the core Java part right now, and is now going to start with Selenium. And this was the last batch of Selenium.
okay, so once this today's session is completed, you are going to upload the session into this
Absolutely,
same.
I'm going to upload the recordings on this portal itself. And once you if you already have access to this portal, then you should be able to see the recordings. All right.
Rahul,
Rahul.
Sorry.
Rahul, Yashwant here. Sorry to interrupt. As I understood, if I go enroll for this course, so I'll be able to attend Selenium with Python also, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Selenium
Okay.
Python, APM Python, and all other batches as well. Once, like, you will be added to the WhatsApp groups of all live sessions. Even for this batch, the new batch, the WhatsApp group is not yet formed. After the 2 sessions, we'll be forming up the new WhatsApp group for this batch. So all the meeting invites will be sent every Friday evening for all the batches. Whichever batch you want to attend, you just need to click on the link and join the session. That is how it works.
And also, is there any
Rahul.
yeah, is there any course which you will be starting for all the 7 advanced projects? I mean, like, is there will be a live session or it's only recorded?
I mean, right now 7 live projects are recorded one, but because there's a lot of effort in like specifically the framework designing part. So the 2 projects that we are already covering will help you in building up your base for frameworks, and then you should be easily able to follow the automation architect part. Because major utilities, major like the keyword designing part, these are the things that we are already going to cover in the in this live session. And then same will be carried forward in the automation architect part. You should be easily able to understand it, because those are recorded by me only. So same thing you are going to see in those lectures.
Rahul, one question. So like when we are going through the course, so during like when you are teaching a topic, so will you be stressing like on like what kind of interview questions can be asked from that, maybe a Java concept or something like that? That might be useful or helpful for us.
Absolutely. With every lecture, I'm going to give you a lot of assignments as well. And I'll be telling you that, okay, this part is very important because in interviews, these level of questions are asked. What level of questions from the framework designing will be asked, from the Java part will be asked. So these are the things that we'll be discussing it during each session.
Thank you.
All right. Any more questions before we start with today's lecture?
Rahul, just
So are you briefing about how many Java core concepts will be discussed in this today's session?
See, today is like an introductory part. We are not going to cover any programming part, so don't worry about it. We are not going to start with the Java basics, and we are not going to start with the Selenium basics. We'll be only understanding what exactly Selenium is, right? And what all components that we'll be integrating, what all things that we will be learning. So we'll be focusing more on this, and the tomorrow session will be related to some configuration part. So I may gonna use a little bit of coding in order to explain you what Selenium is, because Selenium is purely related to the coding part. So you'll be seeing in these two sessions what level of Java that you will be needing, and like how much Java you need to learn in order to work on Selenium. And then we'll be starting with ABC of Java from next weekend session.
Rahul, sorry, one basic question and quick question. Did you give like any high grants on the CI/CD process with the Jenkins that was included in
Yeah,
this?
we'll be covering that. We'll be covering that.
Okay, thank you.
Hi
Okay,
Rahul.
Shweta.
So
Yeah, Jayati.
suppose this call, I mean, if for the whole week, if we need to just revise, so we just have to visit this, which is on the screen share, right? The
Absolutely.
videos.
Absolutely.
So I think for this, I think there was something core Java. Only there we can refer.
No, I mean, the link that I've shown you, this section, it has all core Java as well as the Selenium lectures. So initial part is core Java, and then we have the Selenium part.
Okay. So if you can just show us where will be the day one, or
Our day one is like we are attending day one today. So once that is over, I'll be posting the video. You'll find it at the very end of this. The last section will be our
okay.
today's batch. That will be uploaded.
Okay. So it's in the same link, but at the bottom we have to go.
Yeah, at the bottom, you need to find it.
Okay.
Okay, so Shweta is asking the manual testing is at 8:30. See, Shweta, 8:30, that is the AM IST time, and the Selenium batch is 8 PM IST time. So manual is morning India time. They should be able to attend both the batches parallel.
Hi, Rahul. One question. When can we expect that the core Java course will be finished and when the Selenium will be started?
Core Java, there will be around 12 to 13 sessions, somewhere around 12 to 13 sessions. If you look at, like I've shown you the previous batch link, I mean the recordings. If you see over here, this was the last batch. So somewhere around 12 sessions, like 6 weekend, we're gonna take for Core Java. And after that, we're gonna have, this is the last batch of Selenium. So around 14 sessions on Selenium. So somewhere around 7 weeks on Selenium part we'll be doing.
Okay, yeah, great, thank you.
Right. Okay, any more questions, guys?
Hi, Rahul sir, Ritu here.
Yeah, Ritu.
So is it advisable to go for a manual testing training before we go ahead with the Selenium ones?
See, Selenium has no dependency on manual part, because there are many developers as well who learn Selenium and they don't know ABC of manual testing, right? So Selenium has nothing to do with manual. But yes, it is good that if you have some understanding on what test case is, what test plan is, what the software testing life cycle is. But manual is more like a theoretical concept, right? But when we are working on Selenium, it has nothing to do with the manual part.
Suppose someone is from a different industry altogether and is not aware of how this testing things work. So would you advise the person to go for the manual one first?
I mean, you can take it parallel. It's not like you need to wait for completing the manual part and then attend the Selenium part.
Okay.
So you can attend that parallel as well, because we are running the manual testing batch at 8:30 a.m. and the automation is at 8 p.m. So both can be
Okay.
attended parallelly.
Okay, sir. So tomorrow, do we have that session at 8:30
Yeah,
a.m.?
absolutely.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Rahul, so do in this journey, are you also going to show how to create a Docker?
That's what I said. I mean, Docker is there, but it is right now in the automation architect part. I've covered Docker
Okay, not in a
implementation from
journey.
that.
Okay,
Yeah, not in a live session at the moment.
okay.
All right, guys. So let us get started with
Rahul,
the session. And if you have more queries, then we can keep last 15 minutes to discuss about more queries.
okay, Rahul, then I'll stop here. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So the very first thing before we get started, what exactly is Selenium? Very basic question. Most of you know what is Selenium, but still I want to listen from your end. What exactly is Selenium? Anything and everything that you know about Selenium, just let me know. It's a testing tool.
Selenium, yeah, it's a testing. It's basically a library. It's a library that is being used for test automation, and it's an open
Library,
source.
It is used
It's an
for web
open,
automation.
yeah, web
an open
automation.
source library for web-based testing. Web-based testing only.
And
Okay.
it's very
Automation.
like
Okay.
popular for test automation, as it has a very active community, and among most of the automation tools. So we can see that the conferences and all held for Selenium. So it's uh,
Mhm.
very
The
active
community.
community we have for Selenium.
The community is very strong. The support is very strong. Even if
Yeah.
it is open source, they conduct a lot of conference every year. You'll see there's a Selenium conference being organized. I mean, right now it's a like COVID time going on, but prior to this, they were having conferences, and even there was a conference in Bangalore and in UK, in US, various parts. They have conducted a lot of live conferences. So the community is very strong. Okay, what anything apart from this? Anything that you know that just let me know.
It allows us, integration, gives us the flexibility to integrate with different kinds of other third-party tools, and maybe leverage in the reporting capabilities like extent reporting and all that stuff, and also other tools like Sikuli and all. We can integrate based on our needs, so pretty flexible too.
Okay.
It supports a lot of many programming languages like Python, Java, C
Okay,
Sharp,
so
C++,
multi-language support is there, as
and
in it's
multi-browser,
Java, Python, C Sharp, uh,
Ruby.
Ruby, PHP, JavaScript, right? And then it has got a
Multi-browser support. Yeah.
browser support, right? So all major browsers like IE, like Firefox, like Chrome, Safari, Opera, Edge, all major browsers are supported. What else?
And multi-platform, Windows, Mac.
Multi-platform support is there. You can work on Windows, on Linux, on Mac, on Solaris, on iOS, on Android. All major operating systems are supported. Okay, what else?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Sorry.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, this is Yelis, and you got that automation testing tool, but I think Selenium is not a tool because we cannot download it. I think it's same like, framework or maybe API. I think.
Absolutely. We can download it, but we cannot install it. Right? So the very
Yes,
first thing,
you're right.
yeah, very first thing about Selenium is that it's not a tool. Not a tool in the sense, I mean, if you have heard about other automation tools like QTP, UFT, RFT, then you get a huge setup file. Setup file like a exe file, MSI file, which you, let's say, double click on it and install it on your machine. It provides you some GUI, a platform where you can do record and play, where you can write some scripts and then you can execute that script. You can use multiple features from that tool. If you talk about Selenium, Selenium is nothing like that. There is no UI in Selenium. There is no GUI component. You cannot install Selenium. You cannot even see Selenium on your laptop or desktop. Right? So Selenium is not a tool. If it is not a tool, what exactly is Selenium? It's like a library. Or you can call it as a framework. Or you can call it as an API. Or you can call it as a set of libraries. Right? So what is API? What is set of library? We'll be discussing about this in some time. Right? But before that, what all components are there for Selenium? What all different components do we have in Selenium?
It has RC, it has IDE. RC is a remote control, and IDE is integrated development environment. And I think I'm missing the third one. It's RC plus IDE.
It's the WebDriver and the grid.
WebDriver, yes. WebDriver and the grid. And which is the one that current market is using at the moment?
WebDriver.
WebDriver.
Absolutely. And what is the current version of Selenium?
6.3. No, 3.4.
4.0.
Is 4.0 officially launched?
Not yet.
It's in beta version.
So far is at the beta version. The official launched version which companies are using is 3.141.59. This is the last version of Selenium 3. Prior to this, it was Selenium 2. And then prior to Selenium 2, it was Selenium 1. So these are some of the version history. Guys, please keep yourself on mute so that there should not be any background noise. And you should only unmute when you want to ask any questions and queries. Right? Okay, so these are the versions 1, 2, 3. Initially started with Selenium 1. It was started in the year 2004. And which company came up with Selenium? ThoughtWorks, exactly. So ThoughtWorks is the one who started this project initially, and a developer behind the same, the name is Jason Huggins, who started this project. And later on, Selenium 2 version came. So there's a whole big history behind these two versions. We'll be discussing about that as well. This version was started in 2006, and it was started by a person named as Simon Stewart, who used to work as a lead developer with Google. So Google has a major role in developing the second version of Selenium, which we know with the name as WebDriver. Right? So we'll be discussing about the version history, what is RC, what is WebDriver. After today's session, it will be very much clear to you. But as you can see, I've mentioned over here that Selenium is like an open source. Open source means there is no license required. It's completely free of cost, right? Anyone can use Selenium. You need not to pay for any license. Like if we talk about the competitors of Selenium, so who all are the competitors of Selenium? Who's the very biggest competitor in the market of Selenium? Anyone knows?
I think UTP.
UTP, which is now known as UFT. So there was a time, I mean, QTP market was similar to what we see is for Selenium now, right? Every next automation job is for QTP itself, right? But nowadays, you may gonna see that the market of QTP, UFT, I mean, you're gonna find very few openings related to these automation tools. But for Selenium, there are so many openings. What is the reason behind that? QTP was a very popular tool. It's still popular, but you will gonna find very few openings related to these tools. What is the major reason behind this?
It is a paid tool. I
License.
mean, Selenium is open source. So
Yeah,
I
it's
think
a paid tool. QTP, UFT, RFT, these are the paid tools. A company has to pay a very heavy license cost for individual users. I mean, if a company is, let's say, QTP single user license cost somewhere around 2000 USD. And if a company is going for a concurrent license of 50 users, it may going to cost a huge amount. Whereas same functionality Selenium provides absolutely free of cost. Just that QTP supports desktop-based testing as well, including the web-based part, whereas the Selenium, it supports only web-based testing. If you talk about the current market, majorly projects are around the web-based applications only, right? These days, you'll hardly gonna see the desktop-based applications because this is the time of cloud computing. Everything is on web, right? So that is the reason Selenium can automate anything and everything available on a web. So that is one of the major reason company, they don't need to invest into any license. And not only this, there are n number of other integrations that you can do in Selenium which you can't do with QTP UFT. The reason QTP UFT is a tool, it's an automation tool. An automation tool developed by initially, which company came up with QTP? What is the name of that company which came up with QTP?
HP.
HP? No. QTP initially was started by Mercury and then later on acquired by HP.
Now it's
Right?
Microfoc.
Yeah, now it's Microsoft. So, like, there were a set of developers who have actually designed this automation tool. Now, if I talk about any particular automation tool, not only QTP, every automation tool has got some boundaries. Boundaries as in what all functionalities are built in that automation tool. You can use that functionality only and you can automate your website or any desktop based application if that tool supports the desktop testing as well. But in case you want to implement your own functionality, because whenever you are writing your test cases, you do a lot of permutation and combination. And it doesn't mean that for every permutation and combination, you're going to find a feature in a tool. So if a feature is not there, then you are restricted. You cannot automate that functionality, right? So QTP is a tool. It may have 200 features. It may have 1000 features. So if there are 1000 features, if you're writing some script or if you're automating a particular scenario and that feature is not there in the tool, then you may gonna go to HP, you may gonna go to Mercury, you'll ask them that this feature is not supported, but I need to automate this scenario. They may gonna give you some add-ons, and they sell their add-ons as well, right? But again, add-ons are developed by a developer. At times, even the add-ons are not there. So even the add-on is not there, you cannot automate that functionality. This is because of the boundary of that automation tool. So you have limited functionality. But if I talk about Selenium, Selenium is not a tool. There is no boundary to Selenium. It's just a project which has so many classes, so many functionalities, so many methods, interfaces. It's just a programming project, which is, let's say, it is built up in Java. So it's like one of the Java project. So anything that is feasible in Java, you can integrate that with Selenium. Anything. And this is the same, it is available with different programming language. Now, programming language support doesn't mean that if Selenium is available in Python, if Selenium is available in PHP, then let's say my website is built up in PHP, then I need to learn Selenium with PHP. If it is built up in C#, then I'm learning Selenium with C#. It doesn't mean that. This project was initially started in Java, but everyone is not coming from a Java background. There are many people who know Python, who are Python developers. There are many who are Ruby developers. There are many who know PHP well. So in order to work on Selenium, why should, if I'm a PHP developer, or if I have a good knowledge of PHP, why should I learn Java in order to work on Selenium? So what they did, they migrated the complete library and developed it in C#, in Python, in PHP, and all major languages. So no matter whichever background you're coming from, if you know Java well, then you can use Selenium with Java and you can automate any website built up in any language. Because Selenium is not going to interact with the language of your website. Selenium is only going to interact with the HTML component of your website. Right? So this is the main reason. I mean, if I talk about QTP UFT, it supports both desktop and web-based application, whereas Selenium, it only supports web-based testing, but still the demand of Selenium is more because these days every next application is a web-based application only. Apart from web-based, have you heard about other applications? So we have web-based applications, we have desktop-based applications. Web-based is supported by Selenium, it's supported by QTP, UFT. Desktop-based is only supported by QTP, UFT, not by Selenium. Any more that you know? Mobile applications, yes. Mobile-based applications. Anything else apart from this?
Web service.
Web services. Web services like we have SOAP, we have REST. SOAP is almost out of the market, so mostly RESTful services are there. Database applications, right? So like we have SQL, MySQL, Oracle, Big Data, Hadoop, right? Anything apart from this?
IoT,
Sorry?
Internet of Things, IoT.
But these are again related to your web-based and the other application part.
Okay.
Anything else? If you talk about like JMeter is for performance testing. So performance testing, again, we are doing it on a web-based part or on a mobile application or on a web service or on a desktop or on a database, right? So these are the type of application. Anything apart from this? So these are the major
Ajax,
type of application. Sorry?
Ajax applications.
Ajax are web-based applications only.
Okay.
Right? So these are the major area where we perform testing. Either we do manual testing or we automate these applications as well, right? But Selenium is only for web-based. For mobile-based, any automation tool that you've heard about?
APM.
APM, very popular tool, right?
Yeah.
APM
There is
is the
also
perfect
API
tool.
testing, API based. Yeah.
API based.
I mean, like you have web-based database. I mean, we have
Yeah,
to
for
also test
API,
APIs, right?
for API, it's like web services are
Okay.
related to your API testing.
Okay.
Right. So any tool for API testing that you have heard about?
SOAP UI Pro.
Postman.
SOAP UI, Postman,
Swagger.
Swagger,
Tosca.
Rest assured library.
Rest Assured, very popular. Rest Assured. So these are the most popular, which generally we use when we are performing testing on API. Not just like manual testing, we can automate it as well. Yes, ready API as well. For
Can we add
database, go ahead.
GraphQL in web services?
GraphQL is also there, but yes, I mean, we have a course on API testing, but like we have not yet included the GraphQL examples. But yes, I'm in a conversation with the API instructor, so we may gonna add the GraphQL part as well soon. right? For database, as I've discussed, we have SQL, we have MySQL, Oracle, and a number of other database clients are there, right? So, but again, Selenium is for web-based only. Selenium cannot test your desktop, mobile, web service, database, but still, why Selenium is a prerequisite, right? Why not other automation tools? Like if you talk about web services, rest assured is an open source, Postman is an open source, no license required for it. If I talk about mobile automation, APM is open source, right? Just Selenium is for web-based testing, but still Selenium is like a prerequisite. This is because if you know Selenium, you should be able to do all these integration in one single project. If you have build up a framework for UI automation, Selenium is only for UI automation, right? It can only automate websites. But these days, the projects are built up which are handling all these parts in one single framework. Let's say if I talk about Java, framework is built up in Java. Framework is not built up using Selenium or APM or any other thing. Frameworks are built up using your programming language. So if a framework, if let's say a simple framework, a data-driven framework is built up, where you're using Java, where you build up a framework using Java, then you can integrate all these parts in one single data-driven framework as well. You can automate mobile, you can automate web services, you can automate database, you can automate web-based application using all these parts. And when you are starting with Selenium, Selenium is very simple, very easy stuff to start with. But it will help you in building up your base for automation. And if your base is built up, then if I talk about APM, APM is originated from Selenium itself, right? It's a wrapper over your Selenium Webdriver API. So if you know Selenium, you can easily work on APM as well. There are some wrappers which APM has created, something called as a Win App Driver. Again, this is using the background is Selenium only. The library, internal library is Selenium only. Using the same, you can automate the desktop part as well. Database will be learning it in the Selenium course as well. How to integrate with SQL, MySQL, how to write queries and get the data and validate the results from the website. So the complete database testing validation you can do with the help of this something called as a JDBC connection, JDBC, ODBC connection. That will be learning in this course. Web services is again, you may see some tools. SOAP UI is a tool, Postman is a tool, Swagger is a tool, but rest assured is similar to what Selenium is. It's a library, it's a framework, it's an API, ready API. So these are APIs which can be integrated. These are built up in Java itself. Rest assured is one of the Java project. You can integrate that with your Selenium project and you can handle both UI and API part easily. So one framework can support all these components. And to get started with, the base is always your UI testing. I mean, whenever you are even starting in manual testing, the first thing you do is you do testing on the UI part, right? Okay, so yeah, that's what the major question. What is an API? So what is an API? Tell me guys, what is an API? So I've mentioned Selenium is an API. Now what is an API? What do you understand by API?
Collection of classes.
Sorry?
The collection of classes.
Collection of classes, yes.
It is a service that is exposed so that any consuming application can use that.
Okay, so when I'm talking about API, don't just relate it to the API as in web services. These are also APIs, but API itself is a complete project. A project that contains a complete functionality. A lot of classes are there, a lot of interfaces are there, functions, methods are there, right? Application programming interface, yes, that's what a full form of an API, right? So before we get started with Selenium, let us first try to understand what an API is with a very simple example, right? So I generally use this example in all my demo introductory sessions. So it's like, let's say I am a Java developer and I work with some XYZ.com organization, And here I got a task that I need to design a calculator. So in a calculator, there are various functionalities available. Functionalities as in I can add something, I can subtract something, I can divide something, and I can multiply something. Now, as a developer, if I have to design a calculator, what I'll be doing, since I'm a Java developer, I'll be creating a class with a name as calculator. Now, I hope everyone understand what a class is. I'm not talking about that you may have practically implemented a class or you have practically created a class in any Java project, but still you must have heard about what a class is, right? I hope everyone has done some basic programming in your graduation time. Like you must have studied C, C++, right? Is there anyone who has never been into like who has never learned even a basic programming part during the graduation as well? I know some people are from electronics background as well, some from a different background, not from a computer science background, but like during your graduation, you must have studied any particular language. Could be a basic C as well. So Anshul says no. No means you have never studied any programming. How about others?
Class are a bundle of attributes and functions.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean, if you have ever studied on your own as well, maybe you must have like studied from basic YouTube as well, right? That's fine. If you have some basic understanding, then you should be able to understand things in the today's session. But yes, if you have never studied any programming, don't worry about it. Just take these sessions as it is. The first two sessions are very lightweight sessions. Even if you're not good in programming, don't worry about it. From the next week, when we are starting from the basic Java part, we'll be starting from scratch. So just try to digest it as it is and see what level of programming that we need to work on Selenium, because it's a very basic programming concepts we require for Selenium, and these concepts will be built up from scratch. So don't worry about it. You'll be learning the complete core Java part before you move on to Selenium. But in order to explain you what Selenium is, like in the next like one or two, like today is the day one and then tomorrow is the day two session. So in order to explain you what Selenium is, I need to write a little bit of code, but this is going to be a very simple code. So if you're not able to understand, just try to understand the concept. Don't try to like don't be worried about the code that I'm writing. It's a very simple code, right? So like class, what is there inside a class? What do we have inside a class?
Objects,
Objects and
methods.
Okay, so methods, functions, data members, variables, right? Data types. So if I talk about this function like addition, subtraction, division, multiplication,
These are methods.
yeah, I'll be creating them as a method inside this calculator class. Methods and functions both are same thing. If you are working in C++, C#, you may gonna call them as functions, right? In Python, we call them as functions. In JavaScript, we call them as functions. In Java, we call them as methods. So methods, functions, both are same thing, right? So I'm going to create a method, a function, name as add. And in this method, I'm going to write some code which is going to add some numbers. Similarly, I'm going to create a subtract method. We're going to write some code inside subtract method so that if I call this subtract method, it is going to subtract some numbers. Then we have divide, then we have multiply, and so on. So this is how I've created a calculator class, and I've created various methods inside this class. And once I am done with designing all the functionality, various functionality inside this calculator class, what I want to do, I want to test whether this addition functionality is working fine or not. So what I want to do now is I want to call this addition method from this calculator class. So how to call a method from a class? What is the syntax for calling a method from a class?
Calculator dot.
Calculator dot.
That's what I remember. then you call the
We have to create an object of the class.
Yeah.
We need to create an object of a class, exactly.
And
So how to create an object of a class?
calculator object name equal to new calculator.
Calculator object name. What should I write?
OBJ calc.
OBJ. I can write anything. I can write OBJ. I can write XYZ. This name could be anything or a meaningful name, calci. And then equal to
new calculator.
Exactly. So this is how we create an object of this class. And then how to call a method?
Calc dot
add. So if I run this much code, then whatever that is written inside addition method will be executed. Right? Similarly, if you want to call subtract method, you can say calci.subtract. If you want to call divide, you can say calci.divide. If you want to call multiply, you can say calci.multiply, and so on. One by one, you should be able to call all methods from this class and execute all functionality. But before calling any method, you need to create an object of this class. Now, if I talk about an object, what is an object in this class? You said that we need to create an object in order to call the method. So what is an object? What is an object in this statement, in this line, the very first line?
Calci.
New
calculator.
New calculator.
New calculator is object.
New calculator? Is calci an object or new calculator an object?
No,
I can
new
say
calculator.
Calci.
Calci is a variable.
calci is a variable. Okay. So I can see many people are saying calci is an object. Many people are saying new calculator an object. Then what is this? What is this? What is this thing is called?
Class name.
Is a class name? Anything else? Anything else that we refer this to?
It's a custom return type.
Sorry?
Constructor. Constructor it is.
Is this a constructor?
No.
It's a custom return type.
This is not a constructor.
Return type class name.
It's a type. It's a name as well as a type, right? And this is a reference variable. That's a variable. And this is, what is this?
Assigning operator.
Assignment operator. This is?
Or create object. Every time
so what is new? New is a keyword. New is a keyword. And what is this?
This is
constructor.
This is your constructor. Exactly. So, guys, please mute yourselves. Okay. So, see, these are the very basic concepts, but we'll be studying about these in the Java session. And this is the very first statement we need to write in order to create an object of a class, and then in order to access method from a class. Now, I have started writing this code in a notepad, but notepad is not a very good editor, right? In earlier time, people used to work on notepad, even if you are doing a Java programming or C++ programming. But now there are many editors available in the market with artificial intelligence. If you're not good in coding, these editors helps you a lot while writing code. Let's say if there are 100 methods inside a class, you need not to learn all those 100 methods. You simply say calci and put a dot over here. It will show you list of all the methods, and then you can choose the methods and execute them. Right? So even if you do any mistake, if you miss to write this, they're gonna throw you an error, and they're gonna give you suggestion that do it in this way, do it in that way. So many editors are there in the market. Some are open source, some are paid, like IntelliJ is there, WebStorm is there, NetBeans is there, Eclipse is there. Eclipse is one of the most popular editor. Eclipse IDE, that is Integrated Development Environment, which is very widely used in the industry. 70% of the companies you're going to see using Eclipse. There are some who use IntelliJ as well, but these are just the editors which support your different programming languages. Even if you are working on Java, you can use Eclipse, you can use IntelliJ, you can use NetBeans. A lot of editors are there, but we'll be using Eclipse throughout our course. and we'll be learning various features of Eclipse as well. So Eclipse, but there is a prerequisite to get started with Eclipse. The very first prerequisite is that you need to have Java installed on your machine. Java as in JDK. The latest version of Java is 16, but that is not recommended because in the latest version after Java 11, we have some licensed versions as well, some licensed components as well. So the best recommended component, the best recommended version to integrate with Selenium and other components that we'll be using is JDK 1.8. This is one of the most stable Java versions, right? Which many organizations are still using JDK 1.8. So how to get this Java? This is the very first prerequisite before you get started with Selenium. So these are the three things, only three things you need. First, you need Java, then you need Eclipse, and then you need Selenium, and that's it. And all these are open source. Java is open source, Eclipse open source, Selenium open source. No license required. So first, we're going to see how to configure Java, because this is the very first prerequisite. You simply need to say download JDK 1.8. And you're going to go to the very first link. Java is by Oracle now. Initially, it was Sun, but now Oracle has taken over Java from Sun. And you can see there is some licensing part as well. This is starting Java 11, but we are not worried about Java 11. We'll be using this JDK 8. And you can see for different operating system, if you're using Linux, then you need to download these files. If you're using Mac, for Mac, this is the DMG file. For Windows, there is like 32-bit operating system and a 64-bit operating system. So you need to download this exe file accordingly. Like mine is Windows 64-bit. So I'll be downloading this exe. Now, these days, if you are downloading Java from Oracle website, if you click on this, it may gonna ask you to sign up on Oracle. I've already created my account. You need to create a free account, just like filling up a sign up form, and then you should be able to download this exe file easily. Installing Java is very simple. Once you get this exe file, it's like you're installing a simple software. Double click on this exe, next, and Java gets installed on your machine. After the installation, you're going to find Java showing up over here inside your C drive program files. You're going to see a folder of Java over here. If you open this folder, okay, you're going to see two folders over here. One is JDK and the other one is JRE. You're not seeing JRE over here because I was doing some troubleshooting and I incidentally deleted that, but JRE is also over here, right? So you need not to worry about it. But during the installation, the very first time, you're going to see one is JDK and the other one is JRE. No, Amit, I don't recommend you to install the latest version. You may gonna face a lot of challenges while integrating Jenkins and Maven and other things that we're gonna integrate. So I've seen a lot of people, they face issues while using the latest version. So that is the reason I recommend everyone to use this JDK 1.8 because it supports all latest components, right? So JDK stand for Java Development Kit, JRE stand for Java Runtime Environment. Now, what is JDK? What is JRE? Need not to worry. These things will be covered in the very first lecture of your core Java. So what you need to do, if you
one quick question here. So like I face experience like if I'm installing the Java, I did not see the JRE inside the JDK. So is that any issue? We are okay with without having the JRE also.
No, see, when you install JDK, JRE automatically gonna come. So don't worry about it. Like for me, the JRE is over here, right? The only thing you need to make sure, if you open this JDK folder, go inside this bin folder, your Java is over here. Now you need to configure Java globally on your machine so that any program that may need access of Java can get it from that global location. Like as I said, Eclipse. Eclipse will not run if you don't have Java on your machine. So in order to work on Eclipse, you need to put this Java in your global system environment variables. And how to do that? Just copy the root path of JDK. Just copy this path, and in your search, type edit. This is a shortcut. Type edit, and you'll see edit the system environment variables. Click on this. Then you need to click on environment variable. And here you see two things. One is user variable and one is system variable. You need not to do anything inside user variable. You'll go to your system variable, click on new, and create a variable with the name Java_home and paste the path of JDK. This is a standard way of doing it. I mean, the industry standard, they follow the same process. Create a variable Java home and paste this value over here, the path of JDK root folder. So what happens if you click on OK, you're going to see a variable created, and this variable is holding the address of your JDK folder. Now go down and you'll see a path variable over here. Edit this. Here you're going to see a lot of things already configured. So most of these are very crucial settings, like your system 32-bit setting and n number of other settings. These settings are done when your Windows are installed, or maybe you're installing software. They may gonna add some environment variables automatically over here. Don't try to edit or delete these configuration. Otherwise, it may hamper your existing running program, may corrupt your Windows as well. So what you need to do is simply click on new. At the end, type %Java_home %. So when you type this Java_home %, it will bring this value, this JDK value over here. And then Java is where? Java is inside this bin folder. So what you need to do, just say backslash, sorry, just a moment. So just say backslash and then bin over here. That's it. Like I've already done it over here. So I'll not be redoing it. I'll just delete it. So once you're done with this, click on OK, click on OK, click on OK, and Java is successfully configured. Now open up command prompt. From any location, just type Java-version. You should be able to see this message. If you see this message, Java is successfully configured. And now you can download Eclipse. Now, Eclipse downloading is again very simple. Simply say download Eclipse and go to the very first link. So don't download it directly from here. Go to download packages. The latest version of Eclipse may require Java version above 11. So I don't recommend you to download this. What you need to do is go to more downloads option and download the stable version, that is 2020-03. Click on this, and here you'll see so many components: Eclipse, Java developer, enterprise Java developer, C, C++, PHP. Like I said, Eclipse is just an editor. You can use multiple languages with Eclipse, but we need Eclipse for a basic Java programming. So you'll be downloading this component, ID for enterprise Java developer. This has a lot of other integrations available, like I was talking about Maven, and then other Java related tools are also there. So these plugins are already installed in this component. So you'll be downloading this one. It is available for Windows, for Mac, for Linux. Just click on it and it is going to give you a zip file. You can see it's showing a zip file in my status bar. So this, once you click on it, once you download it, it will gonna come like this. I've already downloaded it. This is what you're gonna get, somewhere around 352 MB file. So unzip it, you're gonna get a folder like this. If you open this, this is the Eclipse folder. Open this, you're gonna see a lot of components over here. Nothing installable in Eclipse. Just double click on it and it is going to launch your Eclipse IDE. You're gonna get an error over here itself if Java is not installed. The Eclipse is not going to launch if your environment variables are not configured. So very first thing, it will ask you to select a directory as a workspace. Now, workspace is basically a location where you'll be maintaining your project code. Any code that you'll be writing will be stored at some location. That is what your workspace. So I generally give the workspace name with the batch name. I'm going to name this batch as batch Selenium July 2021 and click on launch. So next time, if I want to open the same project, I'll be selecting the same location. That is, if you see over here inside workspace, this is batch Selenium July 2021. And this is my workspace that is getting launched. So let it launch. Let the Eclipse starts. The very first screen you're going to see the welcome screen. Just close it. And this is your working area. Here you'll be writing the code. Here you'll be maintaining your project hierarchy, creating classes, creating interfaces. And here you're going to see the output of the code that you've written. So very first thing, we'll be creating a new project. This is create a project. Click on this. We need to select a Java project from here. Click on next. We need to enter a project name. So right now we are trying to understand what is an API. And for that, we are working as a Java developer and designing a calculator. So let's see how to design a calculator. So I'll be giving the project name as, let's say, Calci project. You can give any name over here and just click on finish. Click on open. And you'll see your project created over here in the package explorer. If you expand this project, you'll see one SRC folder and one JRE system library. This is your Java. These are your Java internal classes, which are mapped to your project. Normally, what happens is, like as I said, previous time we used to work on Java. We used to like write Java code in Notepad as well. So when we are working in Notepad, we need to add some header statements. Header statements like if you have worked on C, C++, then you may have used something like include conio.h, include studio.h, and number of such things, right? Similarly, if you use Java, then you may need to add import java.util.star, java.math.random, and number of Java classes like packages in order to access the Java classes. You need to add those things manually. But now when you're using Eclipse, you need not to worry about these imports. It will be automatically handled by Eclipse. You just need to focus on creating your own class. So in the source folder, all the classes will be created. You just need to right click over here, say new, and click on class. And you're going to get a template over here mentioning what name you want to give to this class. So class name always start from a capital letter. I'm creating a calculator class with a capital C. So I'll say calculator and check this public static void main. Click on finish. And you'll see a sample code over here. Let me increase the font size. So this whole thing is a class. And this is a method. By default method inside this class called as a main method. Anything you need to execute in Java should be written inside this method body. These are comments. I'm going to remove them. Now, along with the class, you can see something like this class keyword, this public. You see this static, this void, something in reddish color, something in black color, right? So these reddish color are some predefined keywords. Like we have public, private, protected. These are called as access modifiers or access specifiers. We have static, non-static members. We have void, int, string as a return type to a method. This thing is a method. Sorry, the connection got lost in between. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can.
All right, sure. Thanks for confirming. Okay, so yeah, I was talking about like these things are predefined keywords. You need not to worry about this right now because we have whole big lectures in core Java. What are access modifiers? What are return types? What are static, non-static? So all these things will be explained in the Java session. So don't worry about it. Right now, we are creating a basic calculator class. So in a class, we have a lot of functions, a lot of methods available like addition, division, subtraction, multiplication that I've created in the notepad file. I'll be writing the same stuff over here. Something like if I have to create add, I'll be doing it something like this. This is the addition method. Now in this method, I'm going to write some code, but before that, all your methods are going to start with small letters. Class name always starts with the capital letter. You can see when Java has created this main method, the method name was started in a small letter, right? So even Java is following the same coding standards. It's not like if I create it in a capital letter, it is going to throw me any error. It is not throwing me any error, right? But it's an industry standard. There are some best coding practices that you need to follow. So these things are something called as camel casing. Camel casing is something like if I have a class name or if I have some name with multiple words, something like the dark night. Now all these words are combined to each other, right? This is not very readable. But if I am writing it as a class name, I'll always going to start it with a capital letter. Any word joining will be in a capital letter. So it becomes like this, the dark night. And if I talk about a method name always start with a small letter. Anything joining will be in caps. So this is your method name. This is the class name. This is the method name. Now you should be able to read it easily, right? So every Java developer, they follow the same camel casing. So whenever you try to read their project, you should be able to understand, okay, this is a method name or this is a class name, right? Same standard is used everywhere. So we'll be following the same practice. It's not like if I create calculator class with a small c, Java is going to throw me some error. It is not allowing me to create a class. It's nothing like that. But this is something that we should follow as a better coding practice, right? Class name always start from a capital letter. Method name always start with a small letter. Anything joining will be in a capital letter. Your entire Selenium project, all the classes, methods are designed in the same way. Not only Selenium, any Java project you pick, you're going to find the same coding practices being used everywhere. Now, addition, I'm going to write some code inside this so that if I call this addition method, it is going to do that operation. But right now we have not studied the programming part. So I'm just going to print something. Now, how to print? How to print in Java? Let's say I don't write this thing. I want to print as in you must have like used C++. If I talk about how to print in C.
Printf.
How to print?
System
Printf.
line.
Printf. I was talking about C. So printf is for C, exactly. How about C++? How to print in C++?
See out.
C out, exactly. And now Java.
Println.
Right?
System.out.println.
Println.
Absolutely.
System.out.println.
System.out.println.
Yeah.
So let's say the very first program of any programming language is to print hello world. So as I said, anything that you need to execute should be inside this main method. Now we should be able to execute this by clicking on this run button. If I click on this run button, you're going to see hello world printed over here, right? But we're not here to print hello world. We're here to implement calculator. For that, what I was doing, I was creating a method called as add. And in this, I'm going to write some code which is going to add some number. But since we have not studied any programming, I'm going to print something. Print as in, I'm going to write adding some numbers. So that if you call this add method, it is going to print adding some numbers. And same thing, I'm going to do it for other methods. I'll create some more methods. Instead of add, I'm going to write subtract. So this is going to subtract some numbers, then
Multiplication.
divide. It is
Multiplication.
going to divide, then multiply. And this is going to multiply something, right? So let's say I've created all the methods now, and I want to call this addition method from calculator class. How to call it? We have already seen in the notepad what syntax we have written. We have written this syntax. So I'm going to copy it from here, and then I'm going to paste it here. And you can see no errors. This is the correct syntax. No errors, as in instead of calculator, if I write calculators, you're gonna see it is highlighted with a red color, right? So if you do a mouse over, your Eclipse is going to give suggestions. See, calculators cannot be resolved to a type. See, this thing is called as a type, right? Although it's a class name, but this is also called as a type. So Eclipse is giving you some quick fixes. Create a class calculators, but there is nothing called as calculators. So it is saying change to calculators. If I click on this, it will change it to calculator, right? So this thing is a type. Now, if I say calci dot, it will show me list of all the methods inside this class. So we have a method add, we have a method divide, we have a method multiply, we have a method subtract. So if I call this method add and save this, and if I run this, you're going to see adding some number is executed. Same way, if I say calci dot subtract, calci dot divide, calci dot multiply, save this and run this, and you're going to see one by one the complete functionality is executed, right? But before we are calling this, we are creating an object, right? But one thing more, there is one more method which has the same name as of the class name. What we call it as a method having a same name as of the class name. What we call it as?
It's constructor.
Yes, this is constructor.
Constructor. Exactly. So what are constructors? What are constructors?
It is used to
Constructor is a default method which is called when we create the object of that class, and it can be overloaded also. Overridden. It can be parameterized also.
It can be parameterized as well.
It is used to class basically. It's like it's methods and its variables so that the class object can be used.
Okay. Yeah, all the statements are correct. So constructor is like a method only. It has the same name as of the class name. It is used to initialize variables. This is the very first thing that is called as soon as you create an object of a class. So let's say if I'm saying that this is like a method only, and I can write some code inside this method then. So I'll write some code like calling constructor. Now, if I go down and I want to call this method, so shall I say calci dot? I'm not getting calculator in the list. See, so I'm not getting this method because this is not a method. You cannot call it explicitly like you have called addition, division, subtraction, multiplication. This will be automatically called as soon as you create an object of a class. So where you're creating object of a class? In this statement, in calculator calc equal to new calculator. Even if you don't call these methods, if I remove them and if I run this now, you're going to see calling constructor has been executed, right? Without even calling the method, this constructor will be automatically called as soon as you create an object of a class. And where the object is created. So this was again the same question. What is an object inside this statement? Many people say calc is an object. Let's say calc is an object. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this. This is still a valid statement. If calc is an object, and if I run this, then the constructor will be called, right? Because as soon as an object is created, a constructor will be called. So tell me, if I run this, whether it is going to call the constructor and print calling constructor or not?
No. No.
No.
No.
No.
It's just a reference variable. Or no.
Exactly. So if I click on run, nothing happens, right? So it means this is not an object. Now, what I'll do, I'll remove this. Still, it is a valid statement. See, no errors. Now, if I run this, whether the constructor will be called and calling constructor will be printed or not.
Yes, print it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Will it gonna print?
Yes.
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 No, it will not.
It will not, right?
It will print.
Anyone else? Anyone else who says that it is going to print or it is not going to print?
This is a clear part of the object. It's not the whole object. So
No, this is an object, and so it's going to be print.
It will print.
I think this will call the constructor of the class. So if we have written something, some print statement in the class,
there
then
is
it
no
should
class.
print.
Okay.
This is
So
completely
let's see. Let's run it.
There is a syntax to access the object.
See, constructor is called. So this is where the object is being created. Although the object is not stored into some method, right? Normally, what we do, like when we are writing this is creating an object. But what is the use of this calc then? Why we write this calc equal to new calculator? What is the need of calc?
because we are
When object is this, why we need that calc?
To
access the
calculator
other
into
functions or members of that class that belongs to that object.
Okay, so to access other members of the class, like to access other functions, other methods from this class, right? If I want to call add,
Yeah.
I need to have that calc available, so that I can do calc
Yes.
dot add, calc dot subtract, calc dot
Not
multiply,
required.
right?
From this statement itself, we can call the
We are
method.
storing the object into the calc as a variable. We are calling that calc.
So if I
You
don't
need
have
a variable to store the object.
okay, that's fine. If I don't have calc, can I still call addition without calc?
Yes,
No.
yes. Still we can call.
No.
Still we can call?
No, we
Yes,
can't.
yes.
Actually, we are trying to save new calculator into a variable called calc.
If we don't have
After
that
calculator,
variable, can I call addition? Can I call
Yeah, if the
addition?
class is static, then
No,
you
you
can.
cannot.
now we can call. We
Okay,
can call
don't worry
the
about
method.
static, non-static. As it is, this method. Can we call or not?
Yes, we
No.
can call.
No.
No.
Yes, we can
Yes.
call.
I think yes.
You can call.
Put a dot on this calculator.
Yes,
that
calculator dot
it
it
will display all
put
the
up all
list
the
of methods.
Exactly. We can still call it by saying new calculator dot add. See, and if I run this, you're gonna see adding some number executed. Right? What about subtract? How to call subtract now?
New calculator dot add or dot subtract. Sorry.
Exactly. Again, I need to, if I want to call another method, I need to do new calculator dot subtract, right? Dot subtract, and new calculator dot divide, new
Multiplication,
calculator
division.
dot multiply, right? So if you run this, now you're gonna see how many times constructor is called. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Which with every method a new object is being created. So if you're calling 100 methods from a class, you'll be creating 100 objects of that class. So that is not feasible, right? So that is where the challenge is. What we want, that only one object to be created, and all the methods should be accessed through the same object reference. So what we do, wherever the object is created in a memory, we just store it into a reference variable, into a variable, any variable. We name the variable like ABC equal to this, or we generally give it a meaningful name, so we call it as calc equal to this. We are storing into a variable, and we know that in Java, for every variable there is some type, right? Type like a data type. Let's say anything that you're storing, not just this new calculator. Even if you're storing 100, a value 100 into some variable like value equal to 100, what will be the type of
Int.
this variable?
Int. Int.
Int. Right? We all know that numeric values are stored in int. What if I want to store a value which is not 100? I want to store hello. Can I store it in an int?
No, we need a string.
Now this will
String.
be another type. So based on the value, the types are there, right? So for hello, the type is string. For numeric value, the type is int, right? For different values, different types are available. We also call them as data types. But if I talk about string, what is string? What is string in Java?
Collection.
It's a class.
Collection.
String is a class.
It's a class, right? It's a data type as well as it is a class, right?
Yes.
So if it is a class, then what is value?
Variable.
It's a variable.
It's an object.
Variable.
It's a reference variable to string. If you say value dot, it will show you a list of all the methods inside string class. See, you can see all the methods, and along with the method, you can see string written over here, right? Same way, when you are storing something like this value into a variable calc. Now, what will be the type? Will the type be int? Will the
No.
type be string?
Class name.
It will be of the same type as of the calculator class. So that is the reason we write this. This is a class name, as well as it is also called as a type which is holding this particular value. So type for this particular value is strings, type for the numeric value is int, type for this object is this class. So this is the type, this is the variable, this is an assignment operator, which is like accessing this value, right? This value is assigned to this variable, and then this is a keyword. This is your constructor. So constructor, like this constructor is being called. So at times you may have seen that there are method functions with arguments as well. Argument as in, see, I've written addition. I'm not doing anything. I'm not adding some numbers. If I want to add two numbers, then I'll do something like this: int a, int b. So I want to add two numbers, two numeric numbers. If I save this, then your method is going to give me some error. If I access this method, calc dot, I'm going to get this method now, add a or b, and I need to provide this number. I'm going to provide the number as 10 and 20. Same thing you can do with constructor as well. You can add argument to your method. You can add your argument to the constructor. But let's say if I add something like string name, any argument over here. If you save this, now you're going to see error over here while you're creating an object. It will throw an error. It will say that add argument to match your calculator constructor. So if you click on this, it will ask you to add some name over here. Any name you can add over here, right? So this thing is your constructor as well. This thing is your constructor. This is a keyword. This is what is creating an object. Then you're assigning this object with an assignment operator to this variable, and this is the type of this. So this is the basic crux behind what an object is and how to access the method from the class while creating an object. And now you can call other methods as well, like calc.add, calc.subtract, calc.divide, calc.multiply. And then if you run it, you're going to see that only one object will be created and all the methods are accessed from the same object reference. The constructor is not called again and again, right? Now let's say I have designed the complete calculator project. And I've written somewhere around 500 lines of a very complex logic in this addition method. Now, what I want that I have completed this project calculator. Now, if anyone wants to do some addition, some subtraction, he should not re-implement this functionality. He can access my methods and he can do addition division. And I don't want to charge. I want to make it as an open source project. So open source not only means that it's free of cost. Open source means, like, let's say if someone is already good in development, and if he likes my project and he want to contribute into the development of this project, further enhancement, like he want to add some more methods for calculating percentage, square root, then he is most welcome. And as an end user, if someone wants to add, divide something, he need not to pay. He can access my methods and can do addition, division in his project as well without paying any license for it. So what I'll do, I want to launch it as an open source project. So in order to launch it as an open source project so that end user can access it, I'll right click on my project. I'll go to export. I'll select Java and we're going to select the jar file from here. Click next and give some name to this jar file. I'll say calculator.jar. And I'll be storing this jar file, let's say, on my desktop. Click on finish. So over here, you see a jar file is generated. This is your jar file. Now, it's not like if I double click on it, it is going to install calculator. It is not going to do any installation on my machine, right? This is not like a exe file. It is not going to install anything. But using this jar file, you should be able to know what all methods are there, what all classes are there in the Java project. Right now, what I did, I want that anyone from any part of world who wants to do some addition, division, can download this jar file and can access my project. So for that, I have uploaded this jar file on my website. Let's say waytoautomation.com. So now, if even if you are in US, in UK, in Canada, any part of the world, you can go to my website, download this jar file, and access the functionality. And I have not shared what logic that I have written inside addition method for 500 lines of code. Normally in open source project, people give away their code as well. But let's say I have not shared the code for addition method. But if anyone wants to do addition, can simply call the addition method and do add the numbers, subtract the numbers. So after implementing this jar file, this project, I have left this organization. So I'm going to close this project. So let's close this project. And then I joined another company. Let's say I joined something called as the HSBC Bank. HSBC Bank. I joined some banking project where I was hired as a Java developer, but I was hired in between of their project. They already have a lot of classes implemented. There was a class named as banking, which was already there. And they have implemented some methods already, like public void to calculate profit. They have implemented some functionality to calculate loss, right? And I was hired in between of this project. Now they asked me to implement a functionality that could add salaries for a number of employees. So something similar to addition method, I need to implement it here as well. Now let's assume the code that I need to write over here is similar to the same code I've written in my calculator project. Now there are two ways to implement it. Either I should start writing the complete code from scratch, but that is like a 500 lines of code with a very complex logic. I can write it, but it may take me days to finish it. But why to put that much effort if that code is already available in an open source library? Right? I've already implemented, and that was an open source project. So what I'll do, I'll go to that website and I download that jar file. And then I'll include that jar file as a reference library to this HSBC Bank project. How to do that? I'll right click over here. Then I'll go to build path. I'll go to configure build path, and I'll click on libraries, and I'll click on add external jars, or there's a shortcut as well. So we're not going to go to this long path. I'll simply go to build path and click on add external libraries. Build path, add external library, and I'll select this jar file, calculator jar file. Click on open. And once you click on open, you're going to see that your calculator jar is added as a reference library. If you expand this jar, you're going to see calculator class that you have created. Then if you expand it further, you're going to see all the methods that you have created: addition, division, multiplication, subtraction. But you're not able to see what code is written inside addition. And we are not worried about the code. We are able to access addition method. That is what we want. And how to access this addition method? In order to access it, you just need to create an object of calculator class. So you'll simply say calculator, calc equal to new calculator. Calculator. And see, you're not getting any errors. Your project is able to understand what calculator is, right? How? With the help of this jar file. If the jar file is not there, if I go to build path and remove it, then your project is going to throw errors. Your project is going to ask you that this cannot be resolved to a type, create a class calculator. But this class is already created, but in some third-party project. And we have added that third-party project as a reference library to our banking project. And now all the errors are gone. Now I can go inside this addition method and I can simply say calc.add and implement the entire functionality. Let's change this name to add salary. So in add salary, I have implemented calc.add. The entire code is being implemented. Now, if in case you call this add salary method, first we need to add a main method. So inside this main method, how to call add salary? You need to create an object of this banking class, right? Because these methods belong to banking class. So if you want to call add salary, you need to create an object of banking by say banking b equal to new banking, and then you'll say b dot add salary. That's it. Save it, run it, and you should be able to see the same piece of code we have implemented in the previous project is executed over here without even rewriting the entire functionality of addition. We are able to access that code, which is already implemented in some other project with the help of this jar file, the calculator jar file. So if I talk about this jar file, this is what an API is. This is an API to HSBC Bank project. And if we are talking about Selenium, Selenium is one of the same thing. Selenium is available in a form of a single jar file or multiple collection of jars, right? So Selenium is also one of the project which is implemented in Java. So you can download that project from their website. So the third-party website, which is the main website of Selenium, what is the URL of that website?
SeleniumHQ.org.
Selenium.hq.org. So a lot of people still remember the old website. So the new website is selenium.dev. Even if you type seleniumhq.org, it is going to automatically take you to this website, selenium.dev. And the very first thing in this website, you can see Selenium Automate browsers. That's it. Selenium is only for web-based testing. There's a lot of good documentation available in this website, which we're going to walk through. But right now, we're quickly going to go to download. And here you're going to see the latest version of latest stable version, that is 3.141.59. And Selenium 4 is soon going to hit the market with the 4 beta version. Right now it is beta version, but 4 is going to launch very soon. So right now we're going to use this 3.141.59, but I've also recorded some lectures on Selenium 4 as well. But once Selenium 4 is stable, then we're gonna use Selenium 4 as well in our live sessions. But whatever that you're doing, 3.14159, same thing you can do with Selenium 4 as well. Like Ali is saying that you cannot unmute yourself. This is what you're saying. Let me try to unmute again. So you all are self-muted. In case you want to unmute yourself, you can do that. You all are self-muted. Right. So
Rahul, just a quick question. For the Maven project also, we need to like install this Selenium, or it's not required?
No, Maven, there is a different way. We're gonna see that Maven part as well, but in tomorrow's session, because right now we are almost at 10 p.m. IST, right? In another 7 minutes, so almost 2 hours of session, and I don't want to
One
extend it.
basic question, sorry for that, like before slip from my mind. So the main method is needed to call the any methods, or like the main method is not required. We can directly create the object within the constructor.
No, a main method is required to execute these methods. You can call a method inside any method, but to execute it, you need to have this main method because the execution starts from the main method itself.
Okay, so without main method, we can't execute, right? Okay.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, I mean, to download Selenium, you need to click on this. If you click on this, let's see what it gives us. See, it gives us one single 10 MB jar file. See, this is a jar file. This is what your Selenium is. Just this 10 MB jar file. So your configuration is Java, Eclipse, and this 10 MB jar. That's it. And now you can automate any website in the world. So once you download it, it looks like this. I've already downloaded it, but still we have downloaded from here. Let's see, let it open. Still being downloaded, I guess. But I've already downloaded it in my D drive. Software jars. Where are the jars? Jars, and this is your jar file. So you can move it to any location. And then how to add this jar file? This is same like a calculator jar. So like we added calculator jar like this way. You can right click over here, go to build path, click on add external archives, and navigate to this location and add this jar file. That's it. And now you can call Selenium classes and you can start automating your website. Like in case of calculator library, we have a calculator class. In the same project, I can use Selenium as well. So instead of this class, what I'll do, I'm going to call the Selenium classes. One of the Selenium classes, Chrome driver. So I'll say Chrome driver equal to new Chrome driver. I'm going to create an object of this class. Same way like we have created it for the calculator class. That's it. And now if I run this, what happens? There is some exception. There is some exception. What exception is this? The path to the driver executable must be set by WebDriver Chrome driver. What is this Chrome driver? We're going to have a detailed discussion on this in our tomorrow session. But for the time being, I'm going to add one more file over here. Just give me a moment. I'm going to add something like this. So what this is, we're going to have detailed discussion in our tomorrow session. I'm going to paste it over here. That's it. There is one exe file that is required. Forget about this exe right now. Forget about this exception we got. Just focus on this. I've created an object of Chrome driver equal to new Chrome driver. Like the same way we have created calculator calc equal to new calculator. I have created this object now. This calculator was in the calculator jar, and this Chrome driver is in the Selenium jar. So I've created object of Chrome driver. Now, if I click on run, what happens is, just wait for a few seconds and then you're going to see what it is going to do. See, it has launched a Chrome browser. Just by creating an object of Chrome driver class, a browser is launched. So where that code is written? So where the code is written, where the browser is launched. Maybe some developer has written some 500 lines of code for launching browser. But where is that code written?
Chrome driver class.
Chrome driver class, exactly. Where inside the Chrome driver class?
Constructor inside Chrome driver constructor.
Exactly. We have not called any method, right? We've just created an object of a class. So even if you don't write this, save it, run it, you're gonna see the browser launches, right? So the code is written inside constructor. And now what code is written? Why are we worried for it? We are not developing Selenium. We are using Selenium as a tester, as an automation tester. So we just need to know what all methods we need to call, what is a constructor,
Sorry,
what that constructor is doing,
sorry
right?
to
So you just,
sorry to interrupt. So is the all the code will be written in the jar file that we add into it?
yeah, the
That's why it's
code they have already written. So there are Selenium developers who have already created this project, who have added a lot of classes, a lot of functionalities, and you are just accessing that functionality in a form of a class, in a form of a method. So now in case you want to access the method, you need this reference type driver. If you say
dot
driver dot,
dot add.
it will give you all the methods from this class. So the very first thing after launching browser, what you need to do, you need to do navigation. You want to navigate to a website. And how to navigate to a website? You call one of the method called as get. And see, it is asking you to enter a URL in a string format. So string as in double quotes, and then you'll say HTTP, give any website like waytoautomation.com, save it, and run this. It is again going to launch a browser, and this time it is going to navigate to waytoautomation.com. Right? So your very first test case could be to print the title of this website. So it is very simple. For everything, there is a method available. So title as in driver dot, what you want to get? You want to get a title. A method is get title. But if you run this, it is not going to print the title. It will get the title, but not print it, because printing task
Because
is not of Selenium.
oh,
Printing task is of Java. So how to print in Java? We use system out println, and then just save it, run it. It will again launch the browser. We're going to navigate and we're going to print the title. And if you see over here in your console, the title is printed. Right? So that is how you'll be accessing the methods one by one, and then you'll be automating your website. And in order to access these methods, in order to know what is the class, what are methods, your basic Java concept should be clear. Because you're not developing Selenium. Selenium is already developed, right? This thing can be extracted from a record and play plugin as well, right? This code that I've written can be automatically generated through a plugin. That plugin is called as Selenium IDE. So we'll be talking about these components, RC, IDE, WebDriver. We'll be having a detailed discussion on this in our tomorrow session, because right now we are already running out of time, right? So it's already more than 2 hours of a session. So tomorrow we'll be discussing about what RC, IDE, WebDriver grid is, and what all components that we can integrate. Like we have Maven, we have Jenkins, we have Log4j, we have POI API. N number of these things we're going to discuss it in our tomorrow session, and I'm going to show you one example on executing tests on a real mobile device as well using the same Selenium method. So these are the things that we'll be discussing it in our tomorrow session. Guys, there's a background noise coming. Someone has unmuted. Please mute yourself. Okay, Jayati, you are saying that you're not able to log into the portal. I'll check your login credentials. Just send me an email. I'll just revert me back on the same email. I'll check why you're not able to log in. Right. So guys, today we're gonna do up till this much only. I hope you guys have enjoyed the session. You're not getting bored, right? So we're gonna go in the same pace in our upcoming sessions as well. Automation is one of the interesting topic. Although if we talk about the programming is little boring, but if you mix it with the automation part, you're gonna find it very interesting. Like you can see over here, I've written just 3 lines of code, and a browser launches, it navigates, it prints the title, right? So these are some of the interesting components. You're gonna write very few lines of code, and you're gonna see things happening on the website. You should be able to automate your manual steps. Then you'll yourself will gonna feel it very interesting. And the fear of programming is actually gonna go away once you start working on Selenium. All your basic concepts, your programming base will automatically be developed once you start writing this code and you start practicing on Selenium, right? So yeah, starting next week, we're going to start with Java. So tomorrow, one more session. I'll be explaining the entire content about different components as well, the different integration we're going to do. So these are some of the things I'm going to show you in our tomorrow session. And then from next week onwards, the people who are already done with Java will be continuing in the same Selenium batch, and also the people who are already familiar with Java. There are many new students who are already good in Java. There are some Java developers as well who have joined us today. So you can directly continue with the Selenium part in case you don't want to attend the Java session. But for people who are very new to programming, and especially people from the manual testing background, I would recommend go do it step by step. First, learn entire Java, build a strong base on core Java, and then move to Selenium automation. Because when you will be working on frameworks, there is no Selenium in framework designing part. There's complete Java only. And in interviews, you're gonna face majorly questions from the framework designing part and from the Java part. You're gonna see very less questions from the Selenium part. So we're gonna have a detailed discussion around the interviews thing as well. Right, Atul, new Java class will gonna start from next Saturday. Right. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot for joining in, and I hope you have enjoyed the session. We're gonna meet tomorrow, and I hope you all have the meeting invites. So just join on the same invite.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
that.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks all.